Nobody is an average psychic. We all carry these psychic abilities, but each in our own way.
It's also what brings you the most joy, I feel. Like more and more people are open to discover that we are a soul being in a human experience, and that talking through our sixth sense or feeling and listening to energy and connecting with higher levels of consciousness is like it's available for everyone.
Welcome to Don't Step on the Bluebells, the podcast where personal healing and transformation take center stage. I'm your host, Amanda Parker, and I'm a fellow seeker on the journey of personal growth. Join me as I delve into the stories of gifted healers, guides, and everyday people who have experienced remarkable transformations. Listen in as they share their practical wisdom to enrich your everyday life. And don't forget to hit subscribe and never miss a new episode. Welcome to today's episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells, where I'm joined by Saskia Nefkens and Rachelle Jenkens, the founders of Not Your Average Psychic. As both psychic mediums and psychologists, they channel universal wisdom and guidance to help people return to their most authentic selves. Saskia and Rachelle also run the Psychic School, which has been the #1 psychic school in the Benelux region since its launch in 2019. Not only are Saskia and Rachelle supporting clients across the globe, but they're also hosting events and retreats to deepen your own psychic abilities worldwide. In our conversation, we explore how everyone has unique, ever-evolving abilities, the importance of aligning with your soul's mission, and why developing these gifts can enrich your life regardless of your background. If you're looking for an eye-opening way to expand your horizons, you will not want to miss this episode. Let's dive in. So I'm really, really thrilled to have you here, and thank you so much for saying yes to join me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, for sure.
We were actually connected through another podcast guest of mine who was sharing almost offhanded that, if anyone wants to, learn a bit more about psychic wisdom or how to connect with themselves deeper, you should really check out Not Your Average Psychic. And of course, I have been digging into your website for, I think, months now. Because I just love everything that you're offering. So I'd love to kick us off in the conversation and just hear from your perspective. Imagine that you're speaking to your 5-year-old self.
Right.
How would you describe what you do to that young version of you?
Beautiful question. Do you want me to start, Sus?
Yes, please do.
If I would tell my 5-year-old self, I would say bringing heaven back to earth, uniting the spirit realm with the living realm here on earth is what I would tell my 5-year-old self. But maybe your answer is different, Sus.
No, it's similar, I believe. And I would add perhaps, because I heard myself say to my younger self, you are doing exactly what you love doing. That was what I heard myself say to her. And it's also about making normal what felt normal to me as a child. So that's also part of what we are doing.
I think that's a big thing. I think children are still with one foot in the spirit realm, in the higher dimensions of consciousness with their awareness. And so, I would also really tell my 5-year-old self, it's valid what you're feeling. It's normal what you're experiencing in and around you. So many children have to push it away or are being conditioned so early on in life to not make the spirit realm a part of their day-to-day life. And I think that's what we're trying to reintroduce to so many adults here on earth, that it's perfectly normal. And it's actually such a magical ride to reintroduce the spirit realm to your day-to-day existence here.
I love these responses. And what was coming through for me as I was thinking about what would I be saying to my 5-year-old self?
What would you?
Well, as a 5-year-old, I was pretty convinced that I was a cat and that I was meant to be a cat. And as I get older, that makes more sense. So there was a time as a kid, it was like, okay, Amanda, you can't actually grow up and be a cat. And the older I get, I go, well, maybe it's not actually being a cat, but really connecting in with that energy of the animals and the cats and everything else. So You just took me on a journey there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I very much believe that that's what we're asked to do, be a step more outside of our comfort zone into the identities that we want to be, rather than just be this boring old human that is just stuck in their minds. And, I think it's beautiful to reintroduce those characters in our beings again.
So there was a time that you weren't doing this work, or I'm making that assumption, right? Maybe that's not even true, but I'd love just to hear a bit of that journey. How did you get to this place of bringing heaven on earth, of bringing magic back to people who maybe forgot what that kind of life is like?
I believe Rachelle and I both felt the call to help people because we both studied psychology, and there was already this deep interest in human behavior and like why we act the way we act, etc. So I believe that we both felt the calling, like we are here to understand that on a deeper level, but also guide people in that and ourselves at the same time, all day, every day. But I believe that we also both felt that psychology, as beautiful as it is, was also limited in certain things. And yeah, for me personally, that happened I've worked in the field for I don't know 6 or 7 years, but that was like then there was this already like I cannot do this anymore because there's so much more that I would like to say to people because I just know that to be true, but I didn't know where that came from. Not consciously. I was aware of like hearing things and feeling things all the time and like also knowing things about people, but I was also a bit scared about that part in myself, I believe, because when I was younger, that was something that was I wasn't allowed to talk about those things, I believe. Like it was not like, what are you saying? Or it was denied in certain ways. And I started my own practice as an energetic psychologist because that felt as the next step after leaving the field and being a psychologist. But then there was like, things were opening up more and more because I was allowing myself to feel more. Yeah, I think the birth of my second daughter really there was no going back anymore. So her birth really triggered in me a lot of childhood pain, but that helped me open up to the psychic abilities that were already there, and I was already working with those gifts, but I wasn't fully acknowledging them in a way because I was still scared of that part in me. And but yeah, I think that and it was a journey, and it still is a journey. And Rachelle played a big part in that. We helped each other open up to those gifts. We started channeling like almost every day, and we did that for several years. And when we started Not Your Average Psychic, because that just happened, and we felt the call after a few months. I kept hearing like psychic school, and I was like, what? Why? What? But it makes so much sense because we explored it, the two of us, in this process, like several years. Like, how is this? How does this work? What is this? What are the gifts that we have and that we always have had, but are now open to receive and work with you?
It's also a really uplifting story because I know for my own journey and all of the spiritual work I've done and just the different types of training or courses or teachers that I've been engaging with, there's been a lot of trying, like a lot of almost pushing, to get there and figure it out. And it sounds from what you're sharing like this, I'm sure there was a lot of reckoning in a way with who you are and what you want and what does this really mean, because you have to stand bravely into yourself. But it also sounds like it was a bit organic as well.
It's very organic. I think that is the message we always want relay to everyone around us is that things want to unfold organically and naturally. You don't have to ever force things into your reality, because eventually nothing really good comes from it anyway, right? So even if, because people go, yeah, but like someone like Beyonce, she worked super hard to get where she is, but is she truly happy? Is she truly living out her soul's mission? You don't know that, right? So I think I would say, though, Not Your Average Psychic and the unfolding of it, the manifestation of our business happened incredibly organic and natural, because it's what Saskia just said. Like all of a sudden, it was just there. Like we had this business. From day one, it was thriving. This is not to boast. It's not to like brag here, but it's just been such a roller coaster of like a lot of success, because not because we're so necessarily so great at what we do. I think we might also be good at what we do, but it's because we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. So I believe that you find this unique alignment with the universe and with your soul if you truly allow for you to be yourself, to fully express who you are. And to go back on your question, I think my story is very similar to Saskia. We're both from the clinical field. We're both psychologists. And I think the thing is with psychology, again, is beautiful, but it wasn't enough for what our souls wanted to, convey here. And it wasn't fully our purpose. So we realized upon meeting one another, hey, we both have these psychic abilities. We both, I mean, at the time I was saying like, I can see dead people. Remember the movie, The Sixth Sense? It was one of the reasons I went to see Saskia. That's how we met, is because I went to see her for a session. I went, look, I see dead people. I don't like it. And you're going to have to help me out. Like do something, anything. Right. Very similar, by the way, to the movie The Sixth Sense, because I think the little boy, I don't know if you knew, did you know the movie? He speaks
Yes, but feel free to give context.
So Bruce Willis is, I think, a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I mean, I don't want to ruin the plot here. I don't want to, for those of you who haven't seen it.
It's been out for long enough. So spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Turns out the psychiatrist is also very dead. So he ends up, realizing, okay, that's, towards the end of the movie, I think for me, I hated the movie because it really terrified me. At the same time, the ending is about embracing these gifts, honing in on these gifts, utilizing these gifts, and how profound and how beautiful that is to embrace these gifts and invite them into your life.
It's fascinating knowing different people who work in the energy arts, the spiritual arts, because I'm always looking for that name, to try to give context and shape to this wild and wonderful world that a lot of people don't really know a lot about. But people come into these kind of gifts in such different ways. Mm-hmm. So a woman that I know, she was on the podcast a couple of episodes ago talking about Reiki. She was working with Reiki and shamanism and all these different things for maybe, 30 years before any type of mediumship gifts started coming in, and that she really started connecting with or understanding that ability. And I know some others, actually another guest who was on the podcast months ago, who had an awakening really only in the last 4 or 5 years and was instantly able to connect in. What would you say to that? What's the difference there between someone who maybe really has this, it feels almost like moment to moment awakening to that ability, and someone who's growing and honing and developing that ability?
I mean, even for Saskia and myself, it's been a very different journey, because I cannot remember a time in my life where I didn't feel surrounded or couldn't literally see spirits around me. That it was always has been part of my life. One of my earliest memories has been of me being in a different life. I was a man going to work every day, thinking that was completely normal. It never really developed. It was always just there. I just didn't know how to deal with it because it just terrified me so much. You use the word ability, like psychic ability, as if it's one static thing, whereas psychic abilities are, and that's what we also teach in our psychic school, is very unique. So my psychic ability cannot even cannot look or isn't similar to any other one's psychic abilities. When it comes to the shape of your eyes, your personality, everything that we carry inside of us is very unique. But here on Earth, we just find it, more easy to, see it as one thing, one static thing that other people may or may not have, which I think was one of the bigger issues I stumbled upon in the clinical field. If you have these symptoms, that means that you have this illness or this disimbalance, whereas everyone is such a unique creature. And I think it's beautiful to know that your psychic ability is so different from mine, and so is Saskia's.
What is it like for you, Saskia? How would you describe this ability that you have? Because I know you also have quite a different flavor. There's a bit of shamanism in your practice, so maybe you can share some of what that's like.
Yeah, I think that is what Rachelle just mentioned, that for everybody it's different, and it's also what brings you the most joy, I feel like. So your psychic abilities, because I believe that everybody has psychic abilities, and also that more and more people are open to discover that we are a soul being in a human experience, and that talking through our sixth sense, or feeling and listening to energy and connecting with higher levels of consciousness, is like, it's available for everyone. And because the planet is evolving, I believe that more and more people are opening up to that. And that is also part of why more people feel, hey, I'm also a psychic. Yeah, you are, because we all are, and we can all use it. But it's not that everyone wants to use it in a way that it becomes their profession, because that's similar to not everyone wants to be a doctor, or not everyone wants to be a hair
Painter.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what brings you the deepest joy. So, and you can feel that that there's a deep truth to that. I feel like if you do something that isn't bringing you the deepest joy, you know that it's not part of your soul's mission. So, because we also notice that it's becoming quite popular to say I'm a psychic, or even I'm a psychic medium. But sometimes we are like, why would you say that? Because it's also very hard to be that. And it's not an easy job to have. And for us, it feels as something that we wake up every morning and we have to be very honest to ourselves and be very respectful to our gifts. And, we don't get away with anything. It's how it feels very often. So, it comes with a responsibility.
It's not a job. It is very much a lifestyle. We wake up with it in the morning, we go to bed with it at night, and it takes a long time. So what does it take? It takes a lot of healing. Reconnecting with your soul, with the higher dimensions of consciousness, requires a lot of healing and the surrender to that healing process. And so I think that is definitely something that we do all day, every day. Is or just encourage each other to heal, not just by sitting in a meditation position. It's also hey, step out of your comfort zone, do things that are uncomfortable, but that create expansion in your awareness and in yourself.
So just to clarify some of the terms that we're using, because people might not be familiar with it all. When you say psychic versus psychic medium, what are you talking about there? What is that difference? Is there a difference at all?
Well, according to the dictionary, there is, right? So let's this is not something that's not our dictionary, but I would say a psychic is someone who is can read the energy, is good at reading energy, has this clear knowing of something being truthful or not being truthful, right? So it's usually being connected with a higher knowing, I would say, is a psychic. A psychic medium, as how it's perceived, I think, in today's society, is someone who is able to speak to deceased people. Right. So to the spirits of deceased animals or whoever, which I think it's just a lot of bogus, in my opinion, to be honest. I think that's also our business is called Not Your Average Psychic, for a very important, profound reason. Nobody is an average psychic. We all carry these psychic abilities, but each in our own way. And it's beautiful to uncover and discover them, but it doesn't have to necessarily look like someone else's ability. So again, when you look at the definition of something, it's tricky, because then you go, oh, am I then? Because a lot of people go, yeah, well, Rachelle, you're a psychic medium because you speak to these deceased people. It's like, yeah, or I'm just Rachelle. I I'm a psychic with my own abilities, just as someone else has their own abilities. Even once you have honed in on these abilities, right? So you're like, hey, I've opened up this channel between me and my soul identity. I can now hear all of this stuff, see all these things. I'm all of a sudden a clairvoyant. You're an ever-changing being. So your psychic abilities are also ever evolving. The more you surrender to who and what you are, the more those psychic abilities will also evolve and develop.
I think I see this a lot in the work that I do, especially in the coaching work, that there's a lot of pain in the present moment of people not being able to define themselves clearly. It's like we want definition, we want clarity, we want certainty, and not having that is so challenging. And I don't know the worlds you're living in, but the world I'm living in is very marketing heavy.
Mm-hmm.
People want to define and portray themselves. And I think that's where these terms probably start to take on more meaning than they're supposed to. That you're so hungry to be able to say, I am Amanda and I'm this.
Yeah.
I'm Amanda. I'm a podcast host. I am I don't even say I'm a coach. I say transformation catalyst because I'm like, I don't want to be boxed, but it's still for someone on the outside who says, hey, Amanda, I need your help. How can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you start to get into that. Oh, no, I just do all the things, everything. We just do it all.
I can help you with my Amandanism.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true. Yeah. But I was thinking about that, what you just mentioned. I think that there is also quite the distrust in ourselves, distrusting who we are in our soul and the beautiful qualities that everyone has. And to not label that and not there is no measurement stick, I believe, for psychic abilities, but because it's it's in a higher consciousness. Our minds tend to look for make that a safe thing to act upon, and I don't think that that's possible according to the standards that our minds have. But you can feel it. You can feel that what you feel is true. I believe that. And I think that it's also about trusting ourselves deeper in what we sense and what we feel, that we can trust that.
So Saskia, you had also mentioned the word of your soul's mission. And I'd love to hear what that means to you.
Yeah, I would say that it's funny because I see a children's book. I think it's called The Crown on Your Head. Do you know that book? It's a beautiful book. And it's really about everybody is like I just mentioned before, we are a soul being having a human experience. And the energy that we are enters this body. And before your life starts as Amanda, Rachelle, Saskia, we already know what we will be doing on this planet. So the soul mission or blueprint is already complete, it's already there. And everything on the journey will help you get to that. But the soul's mission is something that makes you ecstatic, I would say. It's you feel that you express your soul's qualities in your soul's mission. And you can also do that with the simple and the little things. It's not about you need to be famous then, or you need to do something very big or reach a lot of people. No, it's if it opens your heart and it brings a smile to your face and you feel that you are showing up for yourself and showing yourself, that's it. I believe that's the soul mission. Because of the consciousness that is rising on planet Earth, I believe more and more people are looking for meaning, because meaning is connected with higher truth. So soul mission becomes more important because we all came with a plan, and we are remembering us. We are remembering that more, I would say.
I was in a workshop this weekend with Elizabeth Gilbert. So she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. It was really amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And she really very beautifully guided a 2-day workshop I mean, I was just astounded by how grounded she was and just how kind she was. And she said in the very beginning, she said, "Don't worry, you're not going to walk out of here with your life purpose." She's like, "This is not that kind of workshop. There's a lot of purpose anxiety out there." So I
Absolutely.
think there is this feeling of like, oh my God, I have to know my one purpose. And it's interpreted as, I need to be the CEO of a, I don't know, fintech company. Otherwise, I failed my mission. And what I hear that you're describing, Saskia, is that in this soul mission, it's just the essence of who you are. It doesn't matter what you do. It's not about an occupation or a job. It's about you becoming more fully yourself with whatever that mission is that maybe you agreed before birth to bring into the planet, or that just feels like a sigh of relief to be acting on.
I will say, though, to add on to that, it isn't easy to fully be yourself. So, like, trying to figure out who you are, like, a lot of adults are unable to answer that question. Who are you? What is it you like? What would you like to eat tonight? What do you want? Many people will go, I don't really actually really know. And that in itself is actually very sad and disheartening, right? The fact that so few people can really describe themselves properly or accurately in this moment in time. So the journey towards rediscovering who you are is why you're here on earth, right? It's what you're here to do. And by doing that, you realize what your soul's missions, plural, we don't have one, we have several, what they are. But it is,
oh God.
Yeah. Yes. Because I think that's also whenever you say this purpose anxiety, oh my goodness, I think the majority of the one-to-ones that we have with people is people asking us, so why am I here? Why am I here? Which again is very sad, because if you ask a 4-year-old, what would you like to be? Pilot, immediately. Doctor, vet. You know, they have their answer ready, but we forgot because we were conditioned, we were traumatized by life, not necessarily in a bad way only. I think trauma and duality, you know, that is a part of human life on earth. But at the same time, it made us forget who we are. And I think that is just literally why you're here, to remember, rediscover who you are. And that is the main thing in that is that you are a soul identity funneled into a human body. So yeah, this purpose anxiety, we are very aware that that's how prevalent that is.
Well, I can imagine that a lot of people who seek you out, unless they've really had a lot of experience or it's in their family or different things, that it's almost like they've tried everything and they're feeling at a loss, and they're starting to have this moment of like, okay, I'm reaching out, I'm going to have this reading or this session and finally get the answers I need. Do you find that that's true in your practice?
I would say so. Yes. I mean, I would also say that 80% of the people that do one-to-ones with us end up doing the psychic school. So I think that you are.
I'm ready to sign up, so don't worry.
I'm excited. But yeah.
What I also notice with a lot of people is that there is so many people are, they already know that there is so much more to life. So also in the younger generations, I would say that like children, of course, but also like the people that are
Young adults.
Yeah. Those souls are very much aware of their psychic abilities already, or I believe that they reach out to us before they reach out to like more the psychologist part. Like I've noticed that, like that
Same.
they know, but I need a deeper truth. I need something that resonates deeper and that I can really feel. So they are very much connected to sensing the energy, I would say. And so it's also the opposite. Sometimes I really feel that people are coming to us because...
Well, there's a big wave at the moment, I think, in our clients, right? With where there's a lot more younger people reaching out to us. Whereas I would say 2 years ago, it was more like mid-30s. That was like the standard age range. It's now definitely the younger ones. And very valid what you say. They're like, okay, I can now reach out to a coach or a psychologist. But then what? You know, then it's like, then I'll have that limited perspective. Whereas in our sessions, again, not to toot our own horn here, it's more like we uncover with you by talking to your higher self, by talking to the spirits around you, who it is you truly are. And towards the end of the session, you go, oh, of course. The one thing I think that everyone always tells us is you said nothing new. Nothing about what you said is something that I don't know, but it just confirms that I've been right about myself. I've been right about myself all along. And that is usually, you know, a sigh of relief for a lot of people.
Are there any stories you could share of maybe a particular moment of healing that you witnessed, or a student who went through the program that really stood out that you'd want to share with the audience?
What we see when people remember their psychic abilities again and they start to channel this information for themselves, we see 180s, like them making 180s in their lives. Now, it's not always easy, because like we see a lot of relationships end, but we see also women becoming pregnant. Like, so a lot happens in these months that, yeah, it's very obvious. Like, it's like, oh my God. And sometimes Rachelle and I are even a bit shocked, because we are like, oh my God, what happened with all these people? Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. But at the same time, we also feel like, oh, you feel so much more fulfillment in your life. There's so much more, everything makes sense. That's also part of what we convey, I believe. Like, there's a deeper intent behind everything. There's a deeper love behind everything. And yeah, part of what we do is, I believe a lot of us, want to trust that again. And so that brings such a shift in people, and it brings, so much more openness to life as well, I would say. Also to step in being fully a human being as well. So it's not about like disconnecting from that, but becoming more a human being at the same time, like really appreciating and seeing the beauty in humanness.
I think it's the most spiritual practice is the fullest acceptance of your humanness, you know, of your humanity, of you being a human. A lot of like spiritual teachers out there, they'll like try to like, you know, steer you towards like only to the higher dimensions of consciousness, but it's about accepting of everything that you are and everything that is, right? So that's definitely a huge part of our psychic school teachings. A few months ago, I had a session with someone right before she started the psychic school. I channeled her deceased mom, who passed away, I think, a year prior to her starting the psychic school journey. And she was very adamant, like, you are supposed to become like a spiritual teacher, and you're going to host retreats. And then, you know, that's obviously she finished the school or the course. And that's actually something that she was determined to do at that point, you know. So during the session, we also relay a lot of information about the future. This is what you will be doing. And to see these people blossom and actually do these things that their souls are telling them to do, is beautiful. I think that is definitely the biggest reward that we can get and have. There's so many people that reach out to us by email, or we get little birth announcements, saying, hey, remember when you told me I was going to have twins? Well, here they are. It's like, oh my goodness, there they are. You know, that's obviously a beautiful part of the job. I think for us, our very common soul's mission is to realign people with who they truly are. Authenticity is key. You know, I think that's why we share this business together.
That's why we're on this call together.
That's why we're here right now.
I mean, I always say, 'cause, what comes for me just naturally is like help people come back home to themselves.
Beautiful.
That's just the feeling that I have. It's in many different facets of all the different things that I do through writing or all these different things. It's really about that. And it's amazing how many of us there are who genuinely just want to help people find their way back home.
I know.
Realign with who they are. And
that can be scary because there is a lot of us out there, but none of us are the same. And we bring different qualities to the table. So there's always room for everyone in this industry. I feel I get that a lot as well, where like even this morning, someone's father I channeled someone's dad and they were saying, well, you need to become an energetic coach. And she went, another one? Like there's so many of us out there. I'm like, yeah, but nobody is you. So whatever you bring to the table, whatever talent and skill that you possess, no one else will. right? So it's also understanding how unique we are. Again, that word unique that we really hone in on, zoom in on during our psychic school. That's what makes you important. That's why you wanted to reincarnate, is to be unique, to be your unique self, not to blend in. I think we've been taught that like completely wrong here on Earth. Blend in, adapt. It's like, great, not working out for me.
Well, I guess that's also its own form of healing, just having the permission and the recognition and understanding that you get to be and do and follow the things that light you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And for you to, we always say, get your weird on, like be weird, allow yourself to be strange, right? That's when life gets fun, when you allow yourself to be strange. Yeah. So we try to, it's obvious that I do it, but we both are.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one. No,
absolutely not.
No, but it also makes me think about like having a stronger relationship with your higher self. And I believe if we like turn towards our higher self more often, our higher self is like, boring. Why are you doing this? Why are you acting that normal? Why aren't you integrating this and this into your life? So our souls are way more extravagant.
Extravagant? Yeah.
Extravagant, yeah.
Extravagant, extraordinary.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think that it's also part of the healing journey that we are in right now is to pay less attention to the people around us in a good way, I mean, right? So to really, be yourself and really do what you love.
That is your soul's mission, to be your most unique, authentic self here on Earth while you're living on Earth. So many of us don't. We just adapt and we just we play it safe. And I think everything, all of the parts inside of you can coexist. You're not just a coach. You're not just, I mean, in my case, I'm also, a recording artist. I'm a songwriter. That's all the stuff that I'm also that. I'm a mother, I love to bake. I want to, at one point maybe in my 50s or 60s, I'd love to start my own restaurant. But that makes no sense, Rachelle. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Life doesn't have to make sense. Life just has to feel good when it can feel good, while you're not healing trauma, because that's the flip side of being alive is having to deal with trauma and pain and hurt. So when you're not dealing with that, or while you're dealing with that, make it as fun as possible for yourself. Be yourself.
So what would you say to describe a bit not your average psychic? So if someone is listening and they're thinking, ooh, this sounds good. What do you do? What is your particular brand of healing? Within that context, or maybe any context you want to share?
Yeah, I think it's like what we talked about before a lot, like really helping people open up to their authentic, true self and who that is and how they can listen more to what they know deep down to be true, and also express that in everyday life, in every so I would say that the readings we convey. I always say to people like, you will be talking to yourself, because I will channel your higher self, or I will channel the souls around you, and they are connected with you, your higher self. So you will listen, you will have a conversation with yourself. And that alone brings so much healing, because it's like, so the rest is all just part of the process. It's all part of the healing journey on this earth, but it's not who I am. And that is also very helpful, I would say, to realign with what you are in your essence and what is part of the human experience and part of the healing journey. And that's it. Yeah.
So I also understand, because you do sessions together and you both have your own unique flavors. What if I come into a session with Saskia and Rachelle? What pleasures await me?
There is there. So wow. I will say, so the one-to-one psychic readings is very much either with myself or with Saskia, right? So we do that separate from one another. And again, we basically you have a conversation with yourself using the spirit realm, using the voice of your soul. But we also individually have Saskia. She offers shamanic healing journeys. So like you'll probably expand on that a little bit more in a minute. And I also do past life readings. So I take you to another life that you're showing me that is now very important for you to uncover. So for instance, this morning I traveled to New Zealand with someone, and I said, look, this is the life that you were living there. This is what you were doing. Because funnily enough, our soul's mission does not change. Life after life, it remains the same, but we just use a different outfit, our human body. And even
so that's why I wanted to be a cat.
Exactly.
And it was not unbelievable.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I also offer, that's also one of my offerings. And then obviously what we always share, what we always do together is our psychic school. And we also have a business program called the Spiritual Entrepreneur. So that's helping entrepreneurs set up their business in a very illogical way, according to the route of their illogical soul.
That is such a pitch.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you set up your business in a way that makes no sense.
Well, it's very true, but the outcome is going to be incredible, like something that you could have never thought of with the human mind. So yeah, that's in a nutshell our offerings, but that's obviously, Saskia, you also have your shamanic healing.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we can help you become a cat, Amanda, if you want.
Yes.
We can help you with that. No worries.
It's going to happen.
I think, right?
Yes, shape-shifting, everything.
Yes,
I've got my drum in the other room. I'm ready.
Okay, let's bring it in. Yeah. The healing sessions, I think it also relates to your question earlier, how I experienced my psychic gifts when I was young. I always saw energy. Moving in people, around people, and it was always with me, like, why are people saying these things that aren't aligned with the energy? So it was like, what? How does this work? Why is this like this? So I would say that in the healing sessions, I help you feel what is here on a subconscious level or a deeper level of the energy as well. And then we start working with that, because I truly am a deep believer of magic. Rachelle is as well, and you are too, I believe. So there are a lot of tools that our soul has to work with, like to transformate and to bring transformation to energy. So that automatically happens. Just I don't know how because my mind doesn't understand the work that I'm doing, but I use a lot of shamanic tools, and I use my voice, and so a lot happens in that, and there are a lot of spirit guides. I often say it's like doing surgery, but on an energetic level. So we are doing a surgery session, and a lot of ancestors always join the sessions too, because they are connected with certain traumas as well, and they are very helpful and very, like, it's also my pain. I'm here. I'm also being part of this, and that's also very helpful, I believe, to recognize that you're not alone in your healing journey, and you are doing a favor to all the generations before, and also the younger generation. So
those are our offerings within Not Your Average Psychic.
But it's so much more, honestly, because it's really like you're talking to someone who's just so enamored and fascinated with the whole world of, a psychic mediumship in general, but just healing and energy. And that's the inspiration behind the podcast is, oh my God, there's so much I don't know that I just want to understand more deeply. So it's your offerings, great, but it's really like answering questions about what is possible. What's actually possible.
True. That is so true.
If someone is struggling, because those are also the people I'm working with, they come in, they're struggling, they want something different, they know there's something more, they don't know how to touch it, and they're not all ready for, okay, you can become a psychic now, or you can have a mediumship reading. So understanding where people are on that journey, that I think that is actually my role, because I can bring them to enough openness to say, oh, that is actually what I need. This is actually the journey I want to go on.
Yeah.
But I think that's just such a common, painful experience that I've seen so much. And then the gifts of what you bring it's a relief from that, but also in your own way that shows this is also okay. that it's not just possible, it's also okay. You can just do the weird shit
Yes.
that like
Yes.
no one thinks you're supposed to be able to do,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
love
Yeah.
it. And as you said,
Yes.
your business is thriving. You know, I want to like knock on everything because that's
Yeah.
why that passion, that energy is there.
We are firm believers of that illogical route of your soul, right? We were taught on earth that if you do this and that, then you'll get to point B, C, wherever. But the soul has so many different ways of getting you to where you truly want to be. So a lot of times we think that we want what we want, but when we really tap into our knowing, we go, I actually want more, or I want even a little bit more like unique, or more like I think going back to what I said before, is like, we don't really know who we are and what we want the majority of the time while we're here on earth. We just adapt. We just exist among other people with opinions, right? And so bringing them back to themselves and like helping them realize, hey, you know what? Your soul is basically an almighty power because it's part of the universe. She can do a way more. She can manifest a whole lot more than you could ever do with your mind, right? So trust her more, align more with her. It's worth it. It's worthy. You're worthy of that alignment. And you see things unfold that you could never see unfold with your human mind. If you think the human mind is a beautiful, and it is a beautiful entity, it's smart, it's clever, it's intelligent, but nothing beats the soul. And so having people, realigning them with their beautiful souls is one of the most rewarding things in our profession, I think.
For someone who is just starting on this journey and they do not know where to begin, or maybe they're scared to embark, is there a piece of advice that you might give them of how to get started or what they might need to know?
Well, the first sentence that comes up is, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Right. So there is no other place wherever, even if you're going through turmoil, even if you're going through shitty stuff, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So the first and foremost thing is, okay, what is a heart opener? Like, what opens my heart? What brings me joy in this turmoil that I get to experience here on earth? It's like, what can I do to get closer to myself? And that could be as simple as, I'm going to start listening to 80s music. Or they can be like, I'm going to bake more cakes. Or, you know what? I'm going to start learning how to knit. That's the illogical route of the soul that we talk about. It is getting that closeness with yourself again. We are a lot of it are removed from ourselves, a lot of us. And so reconnecting with yourself is the first step, and surrender to whatever wants to be felt. That's another big thing. You have an emotion, emotions want to be felt with, not necessarily dealt with, but felt, right? So feel them, feel what wants to be felt. And maybe you do need that 80s music, that 80 Roxette song, to get to those emotions. But that would be the first advice.
Well, it's fine to feel uncomfortable, because when we are healing, we are moving to new territory in our consciousness. And I believe that, or my mind tends to do that. It's like, if it feels uncomfortable, there's something unsafe. So I'm trying to avoid that. And I believe we are all warriors and adventurers on this planet, in essence. So we need a bit of, challenge. It's part of the journey. And so if it feels uncomfortable, you're hitting the sweet spot, like something is happening. And if people are like now listening to this podcast and like, oh my God, all the psychic skill talk, etc., I don't know. If you feel a resistance or this uncomfortableness, there's something there. If you are completely neutral, then I would say this is not for you. but if you feel triggered in any kind of way, there is something for you in this, for sure. Yes, and it's I would say, and that's also part of what we hopefully do with Not Your Average Psychic, that we bring a different image to being a psychic and being a psychic medium, because I hope that we can also be very clear on what we convey to people, and also people feel that we know what we are doing. We are not like we are living our best lives. We are not like floating in space all the time. And this is the real stuff. We are doing it. We are living life, and we are encountering all these blockages ourselves, and are healing those blockages. And then there is more beauty to be found in who we are. So that's also part, I think, of, don't be scared of of the uncomfortableness and or being scared even, because I feel scared a lot of the times, but I'm still doing it. And that
Keep
helps
on moving,
me.
keep on trucking.
Yeah, it helps me. It helps me feel more love.
I think we're currently running our 30th psychic school course, or one of the 30th group. So there's been 30 groups these past couple of years that have, people all from all walks of life that have joined our psychic school. Surgeons, doctors, lawyers. Honestly, you don't necessarily have to have one to become like an energetic or spiritual coach in order for, to start this journey. Opening up your psychic abilities is advantageous. It's like for everyone. Right? It is beneficial for literally everyone. It just enriches your life. It's because you realign with who you truly are, which is a soul being, which is universe. And so I think that's also, something I wanted to add to that. Like, it's not just when you're listening to this, and you're like, well, I'm a lawyer. Yeah, exactly. You want to hone in on your intuitive abilities to make your job a lot easier. Please, again, give us a call. It's
I've got my mother in mind, and she's a spiritual lawyer, as she says it. So
beautiful.
She does her job very well.
Yeah.
So you bring us to a great point, which is if people want to get in touch, they want to learn more. What do you have going on? How can they reach you?
Oh my God, so many ways, right? So we have an Instagram, Not Your Average Psychic. We have a website, notyouraveragespsychic.com, and a Facebook. I have to add this. LinkedIn.
Oh my God. Yes, we do. I'm working on that. So that's why Rachelle is laughing, because my mind thinks that's stupid, but my soul thinks it's a good idea. So the illogical route again. Yeah. So no, but you can also send us a psychic message. So we will receive that.
I'm like,
you can try.
Like Harry Potter, send a pigeon, send a pigeon.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. No, but these are the ways that you can reach out to us. We have a booking system. We have someone in admin who, will reply to your email, whatever it is that you want or need. We start new schools throughout the year. So international ones, Dutch ones. Yeah. Oh, there's an international one.
Is it online, or are there also in person?
Most
of them are online.
Yeah, but we are planning to do psychic schools also in different parts of the world, and that will be in person.
Oh, and we're forgetting a really important part. We also do retreats, psychic school retreats. So we have one in Bali coming up in June. That one is fully booked, but we are planning on another one in November. So in this retreat in Bali, we also help you hone in and rediscover your psychic abilities in the 5 or 6 days that we'll be working face to face. So there is different settings that we do the work.
I'll link to everything in the show notes. So everyone who's listening, who wants to learn more, if you didn't have a chance to write that down, don't worry. You'll have the link to all the different places that you can find Rachelle and Saskia. Are there any parting words, anything else that comes through to you that you'd really like to share? I mean, you've already been so generous. So
I would say partying it up with the spirit realm is worth your while. It really is. It is one big party up there. So you might as well just join them while you're here. Because it's not always a party on Earth. So I'm just saying, that's something. I always say party it up with the spirit realm, because it is such a party. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are so ready to help us and guide us. I believe that. To be more trustful of that they are here, and that you can lean into their energy, and that they are helping you. That it's also, again, you're not alone.
Well, it was such an honor for us to be on this podcast with you, Amanda. Thank you for having us.
It was amazing to be amongst two brilliant guides who are really opening the door for a realm that a lot of people don't know how to access, and in such a beautiful, practical, like real world way, but also with beauty. I find so much beauty in what you do and the way that you present your work. So I'm really grateful that you took the time to be here with us, to share your wisdom, and I have a feeling people are going to be ready to reach out after listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in to Don't Step on the Bluebells. Until next time, see you soon. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give the podcast a 5-star rating wherever you listen. And don't forget to hit subscribe and follow along so you never miss a new episode.